Good evening. Well, here we are, our second pandemic Christmas Eve. I had so hoped that we might be back in our building this year. The construction project is coming along nicely, and if you haven't had a chance to drive by, please do so if you get a chance. Pam Arbergreen's rainbow chalice window is absolutely stunning. But our church home isn't yet safe and ready for us. And with the new Omicron variant, the world doesn't seem very safe either. So as disappointed as I am that we can't be together in our sanctuary, I'm so grateful for the safety and support we create together, online, and in so many other ways. Christmas is a time when we tend to crave the familiar, the nostalgic. This year, like last year, many of our treasured traditions are off limits. However, being forced out of our comfort zone means the true meaning of the holiday can be exposed and highlighted in ways that deepen our appreciation for all that we've had to let go of. Much, so much remains that sustains and inspires us. No one and no circumstances can take away this opportunity to recommit to the deep values that live at the heart of our faith. No one and no circumstances can take away the power of seeing everyone, including ourselves, as holy, here on earth, designed to spread goodness and love wherever we go. The fabric of our community has stretched and changed over the last 20 months, but it's shown itself to be strong and durable. May you feel it holding you tonight and always. Whether you're new to this virtual space or a longtime member, resenting or appreciating the shift to online worship, please know that whoever you are, wherever you've come from, whomever you love, and whatever you believe, you are welcome here.
Our chalice lighting this Christmas Eve is by Gretchen Haley. Let us light our chalices now, separately, but together. Tonight we celebrate the relentless presence of love. Love unconditional and perfect. Love born in the world again and again.
Love ready to heal, to forgive, and unite across all differences and divides. Love born in each of us and offering itself to all. Love that will not give up.
Love that cannot stop making room for you. Here in this ancient story, told and retold, across centuries and cultures, a tale of people seeking shelter from the cold. After a long journey, people met by kindness in the silent night.
Whoever you are, whatever the state of your heart, weary, wild, filled with wonder, the call to rejoice rings out for all, to be held in this hope that love is not done with its work on this life, in this world, that love, newborn, is just getting started.
So let us kindle once again the light of hope and celebrate Christmas once more. Come, let us worship together.
Let earth receive her King.
The night before Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below. When what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be Saint Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and on the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside on his nose and giving a nod up the chimney, he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim ere he rode out of sight, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night."
The Nativity by David Cole. The Nativity story may be poetry and not fact, but then again, it may be something else. Perhaps it is not so much that the stories are untrue, but that our own lives are untrue. And the real Christmas story reminds us of who we really are. There is so much in us that is untrue to our real nature. Our selfishness often exceeds our generosity. Our narrowness squeezes our goodness. Our present is short of our potential. The nations likewise fall short of the promise. Wars, violence, taking hostages, and assassinations are a paradox to the real promise of peace and goodwill.
But each December the sacred hope is reborn. Beneath our surface flaws lies a loving nature, divine in essence, and the Nativity story brings forth the best within us. Nations pause, and wars have been known to stop on Christmas Day. Scrooges become cheerful. The wonder of Christmas is that it reveals who we really are. Saints in tattered clothing, children of God who hide from our divinity through most of the year. It is Christmas that is real, and we who are untrue of it much of the time.
We tell the story year after year to remind ourselves The world's best last hope for peace must lie in each one of us, for it lived in a small, helpless baby, poor and unwanted, in a manger on a cold winter's night.
Everyone Searches for Bethlehem by Tom Shade. Tonight, everyone is displaced and homeless. Tonight, everyone searches for Bethlehem. On this night, when the darkness comes so close, we listen in the stillness for the songs of the angels. Like shepherds, we aren't too sure of what is happening. We don't know why we are so expectant. We don't know why we long so deeply for miracles. Tonight we pray that we might know the one we are seeking. Tonight may we kneel like kings before that which is greater than any kingdom on earth. Tonight may we see the Holy Family that we are a part of. And may we hear the music that reminds us of our truest home.
And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed, and all went to be taxed, every one into his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee out of the city of Nazareth into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be taxed with Mary his espoused wife, being great with child.
And so that while the days were accomplished that she should be delivered, and she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there were no room for them in the inn.
And there was in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flocks by night. And lo, and the angel of God came up to them, and the glory of the glory of God shone around but them, and they were so afraid.
And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. Ye shall find the baby wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was an angel, a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward all people.
And it came to the pass, as the angels were gone away from them into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, Let us now go into Bethlehem and see the thing which come to pass, which the Lord has made known unto us. And they came with the haste, as they found Mary and Joseph and the baby lying in a manger.
And when they had seen it, they made known abroad the saying which was told them concerning this child, and all that heard it wondered at those things which were told them by the shepherds.
But Mary kept all those things and pondered them in her heart, and the shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all the things they had heard and seen as it was told unto them.
Magnificent by Lynn Unger. My soul doth magnify the Lord, said Mary under circumstances which make it somewhat of a startling utterance. Not, I accept the will of the Lord, not, I bow before the Lord, not even, I give thanks to the Lord. No, Mary, this young woman, presumably unfamiliar with angels or divine voices of any kind, let alone those pronouncing that salvation would grow inside her ordinary flesh. This woman may be innocent but hardly seems naive, says something remarkable. My soul magnifies the Lord. Who I am, what I do, how I choose, makes God bigger. And if God were to slip between microscope slides and appear in never-before-seen detail, which is of course exactly what happens, somehow in being magnified God gets small enough to sleep amongst the straw and the scent of farm animals. God magnified becomes particular, tangible, urgent as a hungry child. And Mary, like so many women before her, puts the baby to her breast, where they both grow vast in one another's eyes.
Traditionally, the Christmas Eve offering goes to the minister's discretionary fund. I'm able to use the discretionary fund to meet some financial needs of members of this community who are facing unexpected burdens. Earlier in the pandemic, we had a surge of donations in anticipation of any unexpected or unprecedented burdens related to quarantine, furlough, and job loss. That incredible surge of generosity gave me the ability to help people with medical and utility bills. I was able to restore internet service for children who needed it for online school and to chip in toward rent, food, medications, and more for families who had lost employment or income due to circumstances beyond their control. In other words, the needs are real, and if we're going to be able to meet them, the discretionary fund needs to be replenished. So, if you have a need that I might be able to help with, please remember that the church can offer you some financial support. And if you have a little extra that you might be able to give tonight, please do so. There are 3 options for the logistics on your screen. If you donate online, please choose Minister's Discretionary Fund from the drop-down menu. If you mail or drop off a check, it's okay to just write MDF in the memo line. Thank you so much for your generosity.
Good people all this Christmas time, consider well and bear in mind what our good God for us has done in sending his beloved Son. With Mary holy we should pray to God with love this Christmas day. In Bethlehem upon that morn there was a blessed Messiah born. Let all your songs and praises be unto his heavenly majesty, and evermore amongst our mirth remember Christ the Savior's birth. That night the Virgin Mary mild was safe delivered of a child, according unto heaven's decree, and sweet salvation for to be. With thankful heart and joyful mind, the shepherds went the babe to find, and as God's angels had foretold, they did our Savior Christ behold. Within a manger he was laid, and by his side a Virgin Maid, attending on the Lord of life, who came to earth to end all strife. See how the Lord of heaven and earth showed himself lowly in his birth, a sweet example for mankind, to learn to bear a humble mind. If choirs of angels did rejoice, well may mankind with heart and voice sing praises to the God of heaven, that unto us his Son has given.
Please join me now in the spirit of meditation or prayer. The work of our faith is to love, even when love is hard. When relationships are strained by circumstance or difference of opinion, when betrayal or loss sear our hearts, when the darkness inside us tries so hard to convince us that we are not worthy. Together, we gently cradle and protect the fragile spark at the core that knows every one of us is so deeply loved and so profoundly lovable. In the face of loss, doubt, and depression, still we love because we know that love matters. The work of our faith is to work for peace even when it is hard. When the evidence of greed, injustice, and oppression weighs us down, when anger and meanness are all around, when it seems like our efforts can't possibly make a difference. Together, we gently cradle and protect the fragile spark at the core that knows the longing for harmony and balance is universal, a part of what it means to be human. In the face of life's messiness, still we work for peace because we know that peace matters. The work of our faith is to keep hope alive, even when it is hard. In times when the future seems uncertain, when everything's at risk and there's no clear path to a future that is worthy of our children. Together, we gently cradle and protect the fragile spark at the core that knows we humans have always found a way or made a way out of no way. In the face of despair, we choose the practice of hope because we know that hope matters. The work of our faith is to keep joy alive even when it is hard, when we can't gather to celebrate, when we can't sing together or dance, when we're reduced to thinking about people as potential disease vectors. Together, we gently cradle and protect the fragile spark at the core that knows that joy is resistance, and it is abundant. For it can be found in the simplest of things: a snowflake falling, a sip of tea, a star shining brightly in the winter sky. In the response to life in all its complexity, we choose to cultivate joy because we know that joy matters. These sparks of love, peace, hope, and joy are all aspects of the same spark, the spark of the divine that lives in every human heart. On this night of ancient stories and treasured traditions, let us remember the work of our faith and rededicate ourselves to it. Because what we do matters, how we are matters, who we are matters. You matter. You matter to me, and you matter in the grand scheme of things. Each one of us, beloved, blessed, and capable of blessing, completely irreplaceable, beautiful, and yes, holy. In the silence, let yourself be cradled and protected by the love of this community, and let your light shine.
You have to know your body as the home of God, by Rebecca Parker. You have to know your body as the home of God, and this is the purpose of Christmas. The rose blossoming in the wilderness is the unfolding of your pleasure as the fingers peel an orange and sweetness buds in the mouth. The bright star in the night sky is the sudden clarity of your instinct for joy. The birth cry in the night is your child falling into the dark in your arms holding her. The terror of Herod's murderous intent is your rage that would prefer death to change. The singing angel is your voice at church, not sure of the tune, but certain for a moment that there is glory. The animals breathing their warm breath in the fragile stable are your emotions, kneeling into the body of earth, at ease in the presence of God. Mary is you, God in your body. Joseph is you, sheltering God in the world. This is the key to the mystery. The Word becomes flesh. We are the dwelling place.
It doesn't seem like much. One emperor, one mandate, one census, 2 young people traveling, and a young woman pregnant and feeling every bump on the road, every vertebra of the laden donkey, and arriving to their destination late in the purple night, lit by one bright star and so many cold shoulders. No, they said, no room here. Not good news for someone so near. And what about the backache and the contractions near to giving birth? And sometimes that moment is exalted as the advent arrival of the liberator, but the truth is that dullness of heart, flatness of courage is the same as the no, the same as cold shoulders, rolling eyes, and doors blithely thrown shut. No angel, no astrologer, no star, and no sheep can convince a heart closed to the natural yes of people around us, neighbor, kin, and about to be friend. What can we liberate if we cannot see the journey as an example of our own? Throw open the door, make ready the space. Love as though there is no other medicine. What if you are not a righteous innkeeper, but instead the manger, the stable, the haven of rest?
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing through the night, and the mountains in reply, echoing their brave delight. Gloria in excelsis Deo, excelsis Deo. Shepherds, why this jubilee? Why these songs of happy cheer? What great brightness did you see? What glad tidings did you hear? Gloria in excelsis Deo. In excelsis Deo. Come to Bethlehem and see, in whose birth the angels sing. Come adore on bended knee, Christ the Lord, the newborn King. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo.
This ancient story that we tell and retell every year, the one with the shepherds, the angels, and the wise men, the Holy Family, the humble stable, it's best understood as allegory. People from far and near, from high and low station, come looking for answers in a savior. And what they find are not great leaders or people who are powerful and wealthy. They don't find prophets or priests or sages or deities. They find a powerless baby, born to impoverished, homeless refugees, lying in a manger in a backwater little town far from anywhere important. The story says, look, here in the midst of life, chaotic and messy and heartbreaking and confusing and not at all easy, here is where you find salvation. And of course, the baby in that manger grew up to be a man who summarized the entirety of Jewish law into 2 simple rules. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. We might need to reword that first one a bit and just say, love all of life with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Or love all that is. We can leave God out of it if that works better for you. See, as humans, one of the things that we do is seek a sense of purpose and meaning outside of ourselves. We always want to ask, where do we fit in the great stories and myths? How can we tell that what we do matters, that we matter? The Christmas story points us firmly away from outside validation, from the trimmings and trappings of power and wealth, and toward life itself, chaotic and messy and heartbreaking and confusing. Loving all of life with all of our whole self might lead us to some pretty strange places, but it's also what will lead us to joy and fulfillment. There once was a guy named J. Frankston, and he grew up Jewish, so he always felt left out at Christmas time. When he became an adult and got married, he decided he was going to make up for it. So first he put up a tree and stuck a Star of David on top and called it a Hanukkah bush, but that wasn't enough. He just missed Santa, so he asked his wife to make himself a costume. Unfortunately, no amount of padding and makeup could make this skinny Jewish man look like Santa, so he went out and found a mask maker. He bought a rubberized Santa mask, complete with beard and flowing white hair. Then he put it on, and he looked in the mirror, and in his own words, he became Santa. His posture changed. He leaned back, he pushed out his false stomach, his head tilted to the side, and his voice got deeper and richer, and a "Merry Christmas, everyone!" burst out of his belly. For 2 years, he was Santa for his children, but in the 3rd year, the Santa in him had grown and needed more room, so he called hospitals and orphanages and offered his services for free. Everyone politely declined. The Santa in him felt lonely and useless, but then a chance encounter with a little girl mailing her letter to Santa gave him an idea. He went down to the post office and began to sort through the thousands upon thousands of letters. Most of them were what he describes as gimme gimme letters, and he got a little discouraged, but he kept on going until he found one which unsettled him. It was neatly written on plain white paper, and it said, "Dear Santa, I hope you get my letter. I'm 11 years old, and I have 2 little brothers and a baby sister. My father died last year, and my mother is sick. I know there are many who are poorer than we are, and I want nothing for myself, but could you send us a blanket, 'cause Mommy's cold at night?" And it was signed Susie. So that was the first one. He found 7 more. Then he went to the Western Union and he sent 8 telegrams. "Got your letter. Stop. Will be at your house on Christmas Day. Stop. Wait for me. Stop. Santa." That first year he visited 8 families, the next year 18, then 20, until he wound up with a list of 120 and spent all Christmas Eve and all Christmas Day driving around the city where he lived. One year, on the last visit of his day, he noticed a little girl standing in the corner. "You're not a part of this family, are you?" he asked. "No," she said. He invited her closer, and she climbed into his lap. "Did you get any toys for Christmas?" says Santa. "No," she answers. "I'm Jewish." And this Santa, this unlikely Santa, nudges her and whispers in her ear, "So am I. Would you like a dolly?" See, the truth is that Santa isn't going to be able to fix all the problems in the world, and neither is God. That, my friends, is left up to us. Because things are way too fouled up for there to be just one Savior. It's unfair and unjust to put the weight of all the sins of the world on the shoulders of one poor man. The world isn't going to be saved by Jesus or Buddha or Mother Teresa or Martin Luther King Jr. These were teachers meant to show us the way. According to our uniquely Unitarian Universalist understanding of the Christmas story, every child born is another Redeemer. That means you and me and everyone else. The world is redeemed as each of us chooses to believe that the difference between the great ones and us ordinary ones is just a difference of degree, not type. Now, When we see paintings of the Nativity, it's often quite picturesque. But if you've ever spent any time in an actual stable, you know that they tend to be really messy places. My brother and sister-in-law and their children live on a farm in rural New Hampshire, and they have a small herd of beef cows, as well as a huge garden and bees. They keep bees. A few winters ago, I was visiting, and I got to see a calf being born. My sister-in-law Jess explained that they just left the cow manure in the barn and let it accumulate all winter because it helped keep the space warm. So each day they'd just go in, spread a layer of hay on top of all of the others of layers of manure and hay. And having walked through the barn in a borrowed pair of farm boots, I can testify that floor, that pile, the layer cake, it did radiate heat. So it felt strange to walk on. It was firm but soft at the same time, and it smelled not bad necessarily, but it was very strong. I held my niece in my arms as the vet and my sister-in-law helped wrestle that newborn calf out of its mother and into the world. They had to help teach the mother and baby how to nurse. It was incredibly powerful. I was crying for most of the experience. It was just beautiful. So beautiful to watch. And I'm telling you this story because at that moment I had a powerful moment of clarity. See, miracles don't happen in picturesque, carefully sanitized locations. They happen in the midst of a smelly barn with manure and blood and noise and a great deal of effort. They happen during pandemics in people's houses and cars and on the sidewalks. They happen in the midst of real life with all of its hardships and losses and struggles. If we turn away from the mess and deny the difficulty, we don't give ourselves the chance to rise to the occasion. Any of us who have given birth or witnessed birth know new life doesn't come without blood and pain and loss of one kind or another. So Christmas then can bloom in us if we do these two things. If we choose to be present to the Mass, and if we choose to believe that we can make a difference. Hope will bloom in the common, the real, the stuff of the world. It's not something that comes to us from on high. It's something we find when we pay attention to life in its fullness. Something we find when we choose to believe that we are agents of goodness and love on this earth. Now, I can't imagine what it would be like to scoop up all that partially composted manure and hay from that barn in the springtime by myself. One person certainly couldn't do it. It's at least a 4 or 5 person job on my brother's farm, and I think they use a lot of machines to do some of the heavy lifting. So we need to remember as well that we don't have to do any of this alone. If it's powerful to believe that I myself am a redeemer, it's even more powerful to affirm that every child born is another redeemer. See, we are all in this together. Did you know that in wider activist circles, Unitarian Universalists are known as the love people? It all started in 2004 when Jason Shelton swears he heard the music and lyrics to Standing on the Side of Love wafting through the room as the plaintiffs in Massachusetts' landmark marriage equality case met with UU faith leaders. Then, following the shooting at Tennessee Valley UU Fellowship in Nashville, Tennessee, the Unitarian Universalist Association launched its campaign, Standing on the Side of Love, with those ugly yellow shirts that so many of us have now. Suddenly, Unitarian Universalists were showing up not as principled individuals, but as an identifiable community. My friend Tandy Rogers talks about the call she got from a Methodist colleague who needed some backup in the battle to promote LGBTQIA+ rights in their denomination. She called Tandy and said, "We need the love people." And the love people? The love people showed up. Tandy called a couple of different congregations. A cadre came from each of them wearing the yellow shirts. And they guarded the doorway from people who wanted to make trouble. And they helped support and keep safe the people who were doing the work of becoming braver and truer to who they are meant to be. Tandy also remembers when the buses of people, full of people wearing yellow shirts, arrived at the Tent City prison in Mariposa County to protest Sheriff Joe Arapayo's treatment of prisoners there. "The love people are here," everyone shouted as the youths disembarked from their buses in waves. Now, the name of the campaign has since been changed to make it clear that you don't have to stand to be one of the love people. It's just side with love now. But the purpose is the same. It helps us mobilize, helps us show up and face the mess and love as if there is no other medicine. See, because this is our shared vocation, to love as if there is no other medicine. Love and hope and joy and peace are the way, not fear, not force, not power or wealth. If we are brave enough to put love in the driver's seat and let it guide our lives, it will not steer us wrong. So, as we move through the days and months to come, remember, each one of us is another redeemer, an incarnation of the divine. The holy, salvation, it's found in the midst of the stuff of life, not outside or apart from us. None of us are in this alone, and we are the love people. May we remember these things every Christmas and every day. And remembering, may we live our lives knowing that what we do matters, that we are the ones we've been waiting for, that every person we meet carries a spark of the divine and should be treated with compassion and reverence. Let's move forward, loving as if there is no other medicine, for truly, vaccines and antivirals aside, when it comes to the work of building peace, love is all we've got. So be it, and so may it be.
A candle is a small thing, but no amount of darkness can put it out.
A candle is a small thing, but one candle can light another.
A candle is a small thing, but one candle can light another.
As it gives its flame to another, its light increases.
Our own light becomes larger when we pass it on.
We become stronger when we share and when we give.
Light is the power to dispel the darkness.
You are such a light.
Each of us has the power to hold back the darkness in ourselves as well as the world.
And now we pass the light along to you. Please light your own candles and pass the flame along.
Shepherds break at the side, glory stream from heaven afar, and behold, sing Hallelujah, Christ the Savior is born, Christ the Savior is born. Silent night, holy night, Son of God, love's pure light, radiant beams from thy holy face, with the dawn of redeeming grace. Jesus, Lord, at thy birth, Jesus, Lord, at thy
The Work of Christmas by Howard Thurman. When the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, the work of Christmas begins, to find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among others, to make music in the heart.
Dear ones, I hope you can feel the love beaming through the interwebs, connecting us one to the other. I hope you can drink it in and that it helps you feel strong and brave, capable of making a difference in the world. I hope you know that you matter and that what we do and how we are with one another matters too, a great deal. Remember the spark at your core and keep it safe and sheltered and shining. I love you. Merry Christmas.